Hey, what's going on everybody? It's etaprime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really awesome accessory for the ROG Ally X. What I've got here is the brand new mod case from JSAUX, and we've also got their battery pack here. It kind of goes along with it. They do sell a kit that includes the mod case and the battery pack. And of course, they do sell a mod case very similar to this for the original ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. But basically, what we've got here is a nice protective case for the ROG Ally X. Now this does come with a couple extra accessories. We've got a detachable kickstand and their mounting strap system, which is going to allow us to attach a battery on the back of the case itself. That way we've got a portable battery bank always on the unit, or an external SSD. It's really up to you. Now as you can see, we do have this front protective cover. This is going to protect those analog sticks and screen while you're traveling with this unit. And flipping it around, you can see we do have a translucent back here. Everything seems to be cut out very nicely. I think it's going to line up just fine with the ROG Ally X. And we've also got our mounting system. But once we pull the front cover off, you can see it's got a nice little foam insert here to protect that screen. And the front half here is made of a hard ABS plastic. The rear, or the part that's going to go on the X, is made of a TPU. It's actually pretty sturdy. It's not like a super flimsy silicone or anything like that. Inside of here, we got our user manual, a few extra pull tabs to make it easy to install this. We also have our strap system and our detachable kickstand. The kickstand is constructed of a zinc alloy. And yeah, I mean, it's got a nice little hinge on it. You can put it in several different orientations. It does keep this thing up quite nicely. And the price on this is coming in at $29.99 over on their official website. Now, of course, you could pick up a cheaper case over on Amazon if you want to. I personally haven't tested any with the ROG Ally X. When the original Ally launched, I did test out several silicone cases. Nothing really held up as good as these mod cases that we've seen in the past. Where our hands go, we've got some nice texture here to help us hold on to this thing a bit better. And on the very back, we've got this little nub, and I'm going to call it a nub. This is going to allow us to attach the kickstand and the mounting system. Installation seems straightforward here, and like I mentioned, it's actually a harder TPU plastic. It's not like a silicone that's going to kind of droop on you. You will have to put a little bit of force on this thing to kind of get it in. And basically, we're just going to slide the bottom right down in. And luckily, they added the pull tabs up top to make it really easy to get over those triggers. Obviously, we'll remove these tabs once we've got everything installed, but if you ever need to remove the case and reinstall it, just keep in mind they do send a couple extra pull tabs, so you can just go ahead and reinstall them, take them off when you're done. It does fit in here nice and snug. Now I'll just remove these pull tabs, that way we can get everything situated. And yeah, it does fit the ROG Ally X really nicely. This isn't going to obstruct the vents on the bottom or that extra vent we have on the X up top. All of the I/O is accessible, our fingerprint sensor / power button up top. You can get to everything here. SD card slot, 3.5mm audio jack, volume buttons, and both of our USB Type-C ports. And with the Ally X, we don't have any on the bottom, plus we've got front-facing speakers, so we don't have to worry about those being covered. The front protective cover goes on super easily. Just going to snap right down. And now we can go ahead and throw this in the bag. Don't have to worry about that screen getting messed up or your analog sticks. And for small drops, you don't have to worry about scratching up the Ally X itself. Don't have to worry about breaking those analog sticks right off. I wouldn't recommend throwing this thing around on purpose, but you know, if you do drop it on accident, you've got a lot of protection here with this case. Now it's time to check out the kickstand and the strap system. So this is constructed of metal. It's going to slide right on the nub there. And I did put it on upside down here, but it's fully adjustable and it'll hold this thing up all day long. Next, we've got the strap system, and this is pretty cool. It's going to slide right on the nub, but as you can see, I mean, it's almost like a watch band. And basically, we could strap in, let's say, an SSD around the back here, or in my use case scenario, an external battery pack. I'm going to be using the official JSAUX 65-watt battery pack. This is a 2000 milliamp hour battery here. It will do up to 65 watts out, and you can charge it at up to 65 watts. So you can definitely enter that performance mode on the ROG Ally X, you know, manual mode where you just take it all the way up. And yeah, this should be able to get us a couple extra hours of battery life out of the X, and we're already working with an 80 watt hour battery in this unit. It does have an LED readout and a stationary USB Type-C cable. Now, one thing I would love to see here is if this was at a 90 degree on the end. because it does stick up a bit when you've got everything plugged in. But, if you're looking to get that extra battery life, this is something that I could personally overlook. 2 full-size USB ports. We've also got an extra USB Type-C input or output. But this is what I'm going to be plugging into the unit itself. LED readout does show us the percentage left in the battery. It'll also show us voltage and amps out once we plug this in. And it's just going to be a lot easier to go ahead and put the strap on the battery. You can just leave it on. That way, when you need to pull it off and charge it, you can just bring it right over to a charger. But once it's on here properly, it's not going to go anywhere. And originally I had it like this, but you can see where that strap goes down, it will hit the table. When it's set up like this, strap facing upwards, we'll plug it in. You can actually set this down and it acts as a kickstand all by itself. But yeah, you can see charging the battery already. And heading into Armory Crate, if we go to our performance, you can see that we're basically in dock mode right now with manual mode. Now, there's not a lot of people that are going to run like this even with an external battery, but just note that, yeah, we are getting a sufficient 65 watts over to the ROG Ally X's battery. And again, with that battery connected, you can actually just set it right up on the desk. You can actually lean it just a bit if you adjust that strap system. I've got it level, so it'll sit right here. And originally, I thought this would be a monstrosity strapped to the back of this thing. It actually doesn't look that bad. Obviously, it's going to add more weight. And keep in mind, the Ally X already comes in at 678 grams. The mod case itself without that front cover is 140, and the battery pack is 425. So you're sitting at around 1,240 grams. With everything installed, it's not a super lightweight unit, but is it worth it getting some extra battery life? And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about here. I've got an Ally X right here. It's totally dead. I ran that battery until the whole unit would shut off. It's not in hibernation mode or anything like that. The Ally X can actually charge at 100 watts, which is awesome. Now, we can only do up to 65 with this battery pack, and you don't always have to use this JSAUX battery pack. You could get one on Amazon. Pressing that button a couple times will scroll you through. So we've got the percent on the battery, voltage, and amps. If you take your voltage, multiply it by your amps, then you'll get the wattage. This is pushing 60 watts into the battery right now, and once it ramps up, it will go up to 65. And one thing I'd like to mention here is the battery itself is rated at 20,000 milliamp hour. And that's 20,000 milliamps at 3.7 volts because we do have individual cells inside of this battery pack and the voltage on those are 3.7 each. When it comes down to it, this is around a 74 watt hour battery. So we can't completely charge the internal battery of the X, but it doesn't mean we're not going to get some extra runtime out of it. I've done some testing here. And keep in mind, running a game like Hades will net you better runtime, but with Cyberpunk 2077, 15 watt TDP, 720p, 50% screen brightness, just using the internal 80 watt hour battery with the ROG Ally, it pulls around 22.1 watts in total. That's total system power draw, and we can get around 3 hours and 35 minutes out of it. But by adding that battery bank, we can get an extra 2 hours and 43 minutes of runtime using the same settings, bringing total runtime up to 6 hours and 18 minutes. Definitely a nice little jump here, and with an easier to run game like Hades 2, you can get an extra 5-6 hours out of this thing. It really depends on what game you're playing and settings you're using. So in the end, I personally do like the new mod case here. Comes with that kickstand and the strap, and of course, not everybody out there is going to want to strap a big battery on the back of this thing, and I completely understand, but it will net you more runtime. And you don't specifically have to use the JSAUX battery. There are others that you can pick up on Amazon. One that I've been using since the launch of the Steam Deck is basically the same thing. It's a 20,000 milliamp hour, 65 watt battery, but it is coming in a bit heavier. You can sometimes find these much cheaper on Amazon though. JSAUX does have a full kit for around $74 with the mod case and the battery pack. But yeah, if you're looking to protect the ROG Ally X, I can recommend this case at $30. It's not a bad deal for what we're getting here. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I really appreciate you watching. If you're interested in learning a little more, I will leave some links down below. And if there's any other accessories you want to see for the ROG Ally X, the original Ally, or even the Steam Deck, just let me know in the comments below. But that's it for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.